Hello and welcome to another eBuddy tutorial. Today we're going to go over the Goal Getter program and how to enter those onto your Girl Order tab, and we'll be covering a few other things because that encapsulates a lot of what we're doing for the rest of the season for the Girl Order tab, adding transactions. So it'll kind of be a little back and forth in how to do this. What we're going to do is jump in and kind of look at our initial order. So we just submitted my initial order, because this is just kind of a demo troop that I have for showing things, is you would have just placed an order for all the different varieties, and it's really easy to do for the initial order when you have specific orders that need to go to specific girls, and how to do that, because it just is laid out exactly the way you'd want it, and then any booth extras that you have. Once we move over to the Girl Order tab, however, everything is done in full boxes. So while I didn't submit a real initial order, I have kind of a fake one in here for our Aurora G. Had 162 boxes, and that's just a total box number, because for the girl, her rewards are just based on a total number sold, maybe based on which column they're in, like Cookies from the Heart will earn a patch, Goal Getter will earn a patch, and then other things are just about all the other rewards are just about the total amount of boxes sold. A couple things that you'll see down here is that right now I have distributed out to my girls 432 boxes, and I've only taken 432 boxes into inventory, which means that I'm going to need more boxes to be able to fulfill my goal getters, and we'll see how that works right here. When I have a girl, this is my initial order, my little demo initial order, and I go to add more boxes. So let's say for the Goal Getter, the GG, and I add 30 boxes, let's say, for $150. And so I'm just saying that they paid. This is also if they have their initial order and you want to say they've paid, you can add one that says initial order and their payment goes in right there. But I'd say, okay, that means that my balance for that girl is still reading 0, and I go to save it. And I'm going to get a little warning that says you don't have any boxes or enough boxes to fill what you just placed. So I have 0 left in my inventory, so I can't assign 30 more boxes unless I take more inventory in. So for many of you, if you've ordered extras for the booth program or for Goal Getters specifically, or for any other part of the sale, you shouldn't have any problem. You'd just be able to go in and assign these boxes to each girl and make sure that they actually have those boxes. If not, then we're going to need to add those up and add a transaction before we go. So we're going to abandon those edits and actually calculate what we need. So a transaction is any time we're taking cookies, actual physical boxes of cookies, into our inventory. These are all real numbers, and that's why it's still done by variety. As you can see, I placed my initial order from a cupboard because of that, and then the initial order is actually locked that you can never change it or edit it. So if I want to add it, and I'm calling this my Goal Getter transaction, so you can change the name right up there just so that you can keep things straight. I'm going to be ordering from a cupboard. You can also select if your service unit pulls cookies into their cupboard or into a service unit area, you can do that. Or if you're trading between troops, it's always the troop that is adding inventory that would place this order on there. But for us and for most of you, you'll be placing a cupboard order to your local cupboard. The one that I'm going to be pulling for is from Cupboard 101 in Boise. And that actually happens to be right at our location here at the new headquarters at 8948 West Barnes Street, Boise, Idaho, 83709. So this is actually going to need to be updated here very shortly because Etheridge is no longer our headquarters. And make sure that you are telling lots and lots of other people that if they are coming to pick up cookies, it is no longer on Etheridge, and we have moved. We have a new location. And here where I'm going to add, I can either add it in by packages or cases. Either way is okay. We do prefer when you pick up from the cupboard, especially early on, to try and do it in full cases. So if your goal getters add up to be something close, try to round them up to the nearest case if you can. If not, we will fill it by package, but it is much, much easier to fill, especially in those early days, to do it by the case. But right now, I need to know if I add up all of my goal getters, I need to know how much they sold and what number I should even place. And because once again there's no good way like the initial order to add all of them up, we've created a little calculator called the Goal Getter calculator, which adds things up just like it is in the initial order, and then it'll summarize everything down here at the bottom. This is just, you can set this up in Excel yourself. This is just our quick and easy way to do it. And it has everything in the same order so that when you're reading across, you can put those orders in so that they make sense for what you're placing. So I have girl 1, we'll put in girl 2, and then we also had Aurora is in our troop, so that she has that. You don't really need your cookies from the heart, and they won't be able to go into the Goal Getter column and the cookies from the heart column, so at some point you may have to borrow, but I'll show you how to do that in a separate video so that you know how to borrow from something else. Because once again, we're talking about total boxes, so it doesn't matter if it was in the booth column. If you believe they earned that 30 plus boxes in the Goal Getter column, that's where you want that final number to be. Is if it's not above 30, honestly, the GG column doesn't matter. You can put in other, you can put it in under booths, you can really put it anywhere, but there is a trigger for it to go into the Goal Getter column. Sorry, that's Gift of Caring, which is a troop donation program. So the only ones that really matter are the actual physical boxes that you'd be ordering for the cupboard, which are these columns right here. So what we're going to do is look and see that I have my Goal Getter order card right over here. So I have my extra ones. If I did have any DC, so digital cookie ones, I want to put them now on my Goal Getter card versus my order card like I did last time. So if I see that it comes in during this time period, I do want to make sure that I put it on my my Goal Getter card just like I did for the initial order, and then tally those all the way up so that I know how many boxes of cookies I need to order. So I'm going to put that right over there. And then for my girl 1, I know that she actually did have 9 for this, and I'll show you how that kind of works out here in a little bit. No Savannah Smiles, she had 5, 1, 5, 4, 8, 3, and 1, and should have been a total of 36 boxes totaled when we order this. And we'll hold on to that 9 for just a little bit, because what we'll do is we'll pull the numbers down here are going to be the ones that are key when we actually place the order. The 9 will still go in the cookies from the heart, but I'll show you how to borrow towards the end of the video. Girl 2, we're going to coughly add their order in. Just trying to get a couple of numbers in there, and then we're going to go one, last one, and so there's kind of our numbers that we see being added in there. And if I come down here, I can see what those total numbers were. And so when I go to actually place it, I'm going to move this off the screen. I can see how many boxes I'm going to put in there. And so I'm going to start right here. I want to remember that my 15 boxes of donated ones don't actually go on here. So it's just starting with the next numbers. And I always tab, tab, and then tab, tab, and then just keep moving. And I should have come up with 100. Oh, 109 if I had everything totaled with the other 15. So if I did 15 more that were my cookies from the heart, I'd be at 109. So I'm going to go ahead and say save and print. I always recommend doing the save and print because it actually saves it right then and there. Now it's going to pop up with a print screen, but the nice thing is I don't have to do anything, and it's already saved the changes. If you just say okay, so if I go in there and now it's rounded it to the cases and the packages, so if I do make any changes, so if I say 9 and I just say okay, it's not saved yet, so nothing I've done. It's going to ask me, do you want to save? Oh, I might need to save. But a lot of times what we do when we place orders from the cupboard is we fill it out and then we just get out of our seat and start going, or we're doing it on our phone where it looked right on the screen, but we never hit that little save button. So if you make any changes that you actually want to save, you need to actually hit the save. Otherwise, when you're in there, hit the save and print, and once again, it'll open the print screen, or if on your phone, it won't really do anything, and it is already saved. So safer to hit save and print and walk away and not print than it is to save and then have to do it. So we have a total of 98 more boxes, because I just added a couple more on there because for whatever reason I decided to add a few more. Now, the other thing is if you want to, once again, you can just round up if you really wanted to. So this is 9, rounding up isn't going to be that big of a deal. Trefoils, you might want to consider not, and remember when rounding up, so 1, and then I'd 0 that out. I probably don't want that many more trefoils, a whole nother case, that's up to you. But do-si-dos, maybe I've just rounded up to 1, and then I put the 0 on there. Samoas might as well have 2 full cases. Whatever you want to do, you can round it up, you can leave it the same. Whatever makes sense for you to make it easier so that when you're picking up, if you like handling individual boxes or you're real nervous if it's your first cookie sale, however you want to do that, that's fine. These are on pending and are editable until you actually come and pick them up. So as long as it says pending, you can go back in and edit it. So if you decide you need to add 1 more girl, and it is much easier to pick up 1 large order than it is to pick up 4 little orders. So if at all, try to, for our cupboard keepers' sake, for our cupboards, when they're handling all of this, it's much, much easier if you put it in there as 1 big order rather than a bunch of tiny ones, especially if you're doing them in boxes. Try to round up and have full cases if at all possible. And then I might decide, yes, I actually do want to do at least 1 booth. So what I would do is come over here, and I have another little calculator. It's called our booth variety calculator. And if I can say, well, I didn't order any right off the bat because I wasn't sure if we were doing booths. I was a little bit afraid to overcommit what our troop was going to do. But now we've decided, we've signed up for 2 booth spots, and we're going to do 2. All you're going to do is take our calculator. You can't change any other number, but you put it in there and you hit enter, and it'll automatically calculate the varieties that you need. So we have 2 booths, total cases needed for those 2 booths are right here. So then I take those numbers, and I'm going to simply do my, and this is not in order, which does make it slightly more difficult. So we have our 5, 2, 5, and then we have s'mores are slightly more than the other 3, but a little bit less than tagalongs. So you might do 1 and 3 boxes would probably be about what you'd want, maybe even 4, really depending on what you want to do. If you're really feeling crazy, you can do a whole box and a half, a case and a half, however you see it. With Toffee-tastic, you really do want to be kind of cautious. Don't over order. You don't need to. There's no reason to do it. So be as cautious and be happy that you don't get stuck with any of them, because it's just not worth it. Once again, I'm going to pick my cupboard. This one, if I want to say booths, you can change it however you want to do it. It's okay. It's just a receipt so that you know why you were ordering them, what they were for. Otherwise, just give it the default one, and then once again, I'm going to hit save and print. And I can just close that because I'm not actually going to print it. Just know that when you place an order to the cupboard, it is stored and electronically, and when you show up, we can pull it up based on your troop number, and we can see everything about it. As long as it's still on pending and you haven't picked it up already, we'll be able to see it. But then my goal getters and booths, and I could add those up. I could make it all. I could just round everything to the next one if I wanted to. But right now I'm just going to leave it as 3 separate transactions. Now when I come back over to the girl order tab, before I had 432 and exactly 432. Now I have 698 boxes that can still be distributed out to the girls. And that means I have 266 more boxes to be able to give to the girls. And so what I would do is come back in here. I'm going to add a transaction for the girls. I'm going to call it my goal getters. And from our one, she sold 36. I'm going to make sure it's in the right column. 36. And if she paid or didn't pay, isn't a big deal, but I have my 36, and if I say yes, she actually did pay, maybe she only partially paid. She paid $150 worth of that, those sales, so then I just put that there, and then I click save. And now she has 36 and a total of 100 boxes that she has sold. And then I could go in and do the other girls, and once again, I have it all saved, and you are going to want to save your Goal Getter calculator so that you can see by each girl how many they should have towards the end. And so I'd be able to see that my next girl had 19. So I'm going to add a transaction there for her. 19 GG. Oh, GG. And we'll see how much that comes up to, and we'll say that she just went ahead and paid it all. I made it a rule that they had to turn in their money with their goal getters if they wanted them. You don't have to do that. It's always up to you. But it is a good way if you're still allowing them to take orders to make sure you're not tracking down that money, especially through booths as it gets busy. And then I had Aurora, who was my top seller, of course. And let's pull up my sheet one more time. And she did 54 more boxes. And so she did 54 for her, GG, and we'll say she paid her 270, her 270, so she should be at 0 to, then we save. And then, at least for now, if I go back to the girl order page, I'm going to see I have 2 girls that earned, and these can be put in at any time. There is no timeline that you have to add these in. If you believe they sold from February or from January 29th to February 22nd, it doesn't have to be in before the February. This can all be done at the very end of the season, but it's good to get it out of the way to know that these were goal getters that were here. Now, if for some reason somebody had sold more and they had them in the cookies from the heart column, what you're going to do is give them full credit, but then you might have to borrow from booths. So let's say that they did an Albertsons. And they sold in the booth column, they sold another 20, well, let's just say 50 boxes. Well, what might happen is because we also had the 5 or 9 or whatever it was from the other area, and to be able to bump her up into the goal getter because they were sold during that time period, what we might do is borrow, because we need these 9 to be in the cookies from the heart, but we can borrow 9, so 50 minus 9 is going to be 41, and I'm going to put that 9 over here in the goal getter column, in the goal getter column. So even though the number is still 59 boxes, so 50 for booths plus that cookies from the heart that were supposed to be earned during goal getter, because it won't add up in this column without borrowing them from something, that's how I'm going to do it. Same with if it was a digital cookie sale, we're going to borrow from booths because digital cookie sales are locked. If it was, at least if it was shipped, that's how we would do that. We would borrow from booths, put it in there, and you can say with GG, and you can say that it was an Albertsons booth sale that we did, but I had to borrow some of those to put into the goal getter to help bump her up to get it to where we wanted, whatever that might be. For whatever reason, when we're in there, that might be the ways you borrow from booth sales, because those are easily editable, and know that the total number is all that really matters. And so if for some reason she got 2 more boxes, then it would automatically trigger to get the Goal Getter Diva patch. But that is kind of our tricks and tools on how to get through your Goal Getter. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about the Girl Order tab and the Transactions tab. We'll have a shorter one for just transactions. So if you need to refresh, you don't have to watch all of this just to see how you add an order for extras. But for goal getters, those are some of the tools that we have to help you out. Hope that was helpful. Thanks.